and she said she couldn't show this horse because he would not take a right lead. He'd do it on his own in the pasture, but whenever somebody gets on him, then he just always takes the left lead. Hi, Dennis here at Capital Training and Shoeing. I'm on an interesting scenario here. This horse has got some age on him. He's 20 years old, but he looks like a young horse, and he moves. He's sound as he can be, and he's quiet and he's gentle. The reason that he came to me is because the lady that owns him was wanting to start doing some showing, and she'd been looking for horses and found out that horses everywhere at the moment are pretty pricey, and she said she couldn't show this horse because he would not take a right lead. And so anyway, I said, well, you know, maybe we can try to work on that a little bit. And she said he'd do it on his own in the pasture, but whenever somebody gets on him, then he just always takes the left lead. These kind of things aren't all that unusual. You know, it's a matter, you know, I always talk about my clear mental picture and what's in that picture. In that picture is the attitude of the horse, for one. That might be the most important one. But right on the heels of that, and they'll kind of switch back and forth, is body alignment and having the ability to put a horse in sort of a frame. This horse has been gentle and been ridden a lot, and he's been ridden like this on a loose bridle rein all the time, and he rides really good on a loose bridle rein. But he's learned how to bend in his body to keep you from being able to help him. So basically what I've been doing is to get him in a position so that he can take that lead, is to help this horse let me separate his body out. In other words, I need to have the ability to bring just his head. See, as soon as I touched his mouth, he wanted to move his feet. So I need to first have the ability to get this softness here. He didn't, when you would take a hold of his mouth, because he'd been, you know, ridden loose and never challenged up there at all, as soon as you'd take a hold of him, he just wanted to grab that bit and hang on to it and push. Well, all that does is create stiffness throughout the whole body. So then anytime they asked for him to go into that correct lead, he was just prepared to brace and fight and get through somehow. He didn't understand. So he was just doing what horses do, and that was being really, really defensive about being asked to do something. So what I've been doing is riding him and getting him soft. See him giving his face right there down to me? And so how do I get that softness? I get that softness by positioning my bridle reins so they're short enough that when I close my fingers, I take really good contact with him. And not just haul back and pull on him. You can't force this on him. You've got to show them where the relief is. Now, I need forward motion to help me too. So you see this foot right here get active right at the cinch? I want my horses thinking about going up and around my inside leg. Up and around my inside leg. That is the right lead. See, if I can get that horse to set that shoulder off slightly to the left and stay soft in this part of his body, then when I ask for that lead, he just stepped right off into it. Well, it wasn't a really easy hill for this horse to find, you know, because he had 20 years of having his way. But the point I'm getting at here is I want you to know that there's hope for any horse if you will get the understanding that you need to learn how to communicate with them in a way that this horse understands, anything is possible. And you know, old dogs can learn new tricks. Just because he's 20 years old, so what? You know, he was 2 at one time, and he's been ridden like he's 2 his whole life. So he had no chance to grow up. He had no chance to learn how to be a broke horse. So that's what he's getting here. He's only been here about a week now, and you saw him just strike off in a right lead real easy there, willingly, like he liked it. And you know, for a horse that hadn't taken a right lead very often in 20 years with a person on him, I think that's a pretty good testimony right there to what understanding will do. Has he arrived at being where he needs to be? No, but boy, he's sure headed in a good direction. So how did he get to where he could do that? I took slight contact with the right bridle rein, and because I've taught him how to come off of that bit and get soft, and I used my right leg just a little bit right at the cinch, and then I just clucked to him, and when he struck off in that lead, boom, there it was. And as soon as he took that correct lead, then the almighty release happened. So then every stride that horse took was in the sweet spot, So we get him comfortable doing the thing that we want, then we leave him alone. If we just leave them alone and never teach them how to get in the sweet spot, they're just kind of freewheeling. It'd be like being in your truck and the truck's doing all the driving. You know, it's not much fun. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you like these videos we're doing, I would really appreciate it if you would hit subscribe and then tell your friends about them. And I'd like for you to share them if you would. So I'd really appreciate that. It'd help us out a lot. So thank you very much.